Hello everyone, my name is James and this is Real Biased Gaming. In this video, I'm going to cover all the important changes to items, gameplay, and mechanics in general that went down in patch 3.9. Let's do this. The first change is to the Shapeshifters in the game. This actually ends up being a nerf for Elise, Nidalee, and Jace, and really it's just Nidalee and Jace, because Elise rarely buys items that activate on cast, on the use of an ability. Now, Nidalee is already pretty weak in the game right now, especially AD Nidalee, which is usually, the champion that would get Iceborne Gauntlets or like a Triforce, items like that. So this change is really just another thing to bring her down. And for Jace, this will actually keep him from stacking his tier only slightly, to be honest, but it does affect him nonetheless. Now, don't ask me what hit delay is. I'm really glad it's normalized. Like, that's excellent, for these champions, but I really couldn't tell you what that means. Now, there's actually quite a bit of changes here too, mostly oracles, and being able to get rid of enemy wards. So wards and oracle changes in this patch, they're actually pretty impactful. Making wards actually reward a lot more gold when you destroy them is, it's there just because of the nerf to oracles mostly. Though I think it was necessary on its own. Also, it's really good to see the change that directly and only affects support players, or people who actually buy True Sight items. With this change, it's really good to see that. It's always tough for Riot to specifically buff support players, so this is definitely a good change, a good step in that direction. So if a support player puts down a pink ward and your AD carry destroys that ward, the support who put down the pink ward actually gets half of that gold, so can't complain about that. Now, Oracles is taking a hit really bad in my opinion. It now persists through death. Yes, that's excellent, but it only lasts 4 minutes instead of 5. If you die with Oracles, it is going to take you an average of 30 to 40 seconds to respawn, and then another 30-ish seconds to get back to the river, plus the 30 seconds it took you to get to the river after you bought Oracles, and the time you died. So like all this time is already taken up, time that is not spent running around the map actually destroying wards with oracles, okay? That's nearly 2 minutes there was just thrown out the window of now this 4-minute long elixir you can buy. What I'm saying is that on average, oracles wear off either while you're dead or while you're running back to clear enemy vision wards, running back to the river, running back to the action. It's just such a tough sell for 400 gold for a 400 gold item that supports need to spend their money on constantly for what is now, it's basically a one-use thing that's you're going to be able to actually use it. Assuming you die, you're going to get around 1 to 2 minutes of actual use out of the item. The rest of it is going to be spent running back from base. Now, the vision radius decrease is also big because it allows enemies like Eve or Rengar to get closer to their targets before they're even seen. Especially with Rengar being really popular right now, this change does seem a little odd. Now, Morello says in the patch preview video that Oracles, as it was too much of a risk for teams to pick up because they could die. The champion who buys it could easily die with it and then it'd be gone. But now the risk is that you only have basically 3.5 minutes to use it, to clear Baron or to initiate a fight, or it's completely wasted. That isn't a lot of time, and any kind of standoff at Baron, or standoff, when an enemy team has a Twitch or Rengar, could easily result in the item just kind of wearing off and being useless. Unless it is being used super aggressively, and with a team that is communicating well so they know that they have oracles and they need to run in and use it right now, it is exactly a 20% increase on the risk that that it actually had before. So it's in my opinion more risky than it was before, even though it does persist through death now. Now, there were also some changes to Tear of the Goddess. Now, it was nerfed, plain and simple, and especially his champions who cast spells constantly, Rise especially is kind of thought to be kind of a machine gun caster type champion, so he's casting spells constantly, so this really hits him, taking a whole second off the time where you can get another stack onto your tier. Numbers wise, it will now take champions essentially 33% longer at a minimum to charge up their tier before they get their Muramana or Seraph's Embrace. Now, this was a bold change for this patch, and probably the biggest one, in my opinion, the biggest change at least to the meta right now, the biggest impact on solo queue. It hit some of the strongest champions out there, like Blue Ezreal, Jace, and, of course, Rise. The Maw of Malmortius. Now, the Maw of Malmortius got some love in patch 3.9. You get extra attack damage and MR, as well as it makes it easier now to actually get the full stack of AD you get compared to how much health you've lost so far. But I mean, at its base stats, an extra 5 attack damage and 4 magic resist isn't going to make it's standard for anybody. You know, it's still going to be a really niche pickup against certain enemy team compositions. It's just going to be, you know, better at doing its job. Now, Riot upped the gold values for players who have died a lot in patch 3.9, and I feel like this is one of those changes that is going to be really overlooked by a lot of people. You don't really notice it down there at the bottom of the patch. Their examples show that a person who has died 3 times now is worth about 20% more gold as opposed to patch 3.8, and a person who has died 6 times is worth twice as much gold. Teams that are ahead are going to benefit a lot more from killing enemies who have died a bunch already, and this will make it somewhat easier for teams to put away their foes when 1 or 2 of their lanes have really gotten fed. The last bit in this patch that I do want to mention now is the change that they actually used for Rune Pages. Basically, the whole thing is a lot easier to use, and specifically the change for adding runes by double-clicking them rapidly. I've been waiting for this for 3 years to make it easier to just double-click them and move them all into the rune page. Oh my gosh, thank you, Riot, you slow-moving sons of bitches. Oh, 3 years. Oh, Riot, why? Oh, it's good to see them improving their interface even now after the game's been out for so long. Well, there we go. For all the non-champion changes, that's all there is in patch 3.9. All the good stuff, all the important stuff anyways. For the champion changes, I'll have a clicky icon so you can go over and watch that video. Subscribe and stick around for more gaming and League of Legends content. And also feel free to discuss the changes below in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions on what you liked and what you did not like about patch 3.9, or about what I had to say about patch 3.9. Once again, my name is James, and this is Real Biased Gaming.